Welcome to Canerica's podcast, The Digital Shift. We specialize in breaking down the big tech developments into, well, the knowledge you actually need. Today, we're doing a deep dive into what really looks like a major architectural shift in enterprise AI. It's about a new framework from a major AI player that's changing how companies build intelligent agents.
It really is a big deal, more than just, another piece of software. It's pulling together the whole agent building process. And to see why it matters, just look at the market context. We saw the AI agents market jump from about $5.4 billion in 2024 to expected $7.6 billion in 2025. And it's already common practice, something like 85% of organizations are using AI agents somewhere in their workflows.
Wow, 85% already. And you mentioned something about how fast their capabilities are growing.
Exactly. The really staggering part is that the complexity of tasks these agents can handle autonomously has been doubling roughly every 7 months.
Doubling every 7 months.
Yeah.
That's incredibly fast scaling.
It is. And that kind of pace forces organizations to build faster, yes, but also more reliably. So that's our goal today, really, to unpack this content, understand what this platform, let's call it Agent Kit, actually is, how it works, how it helps with that rapid scaling, and what it means for, well, digital transformation overall.
Okay, let's get into it. Before something like Agent Kit came along, what was it actually like for, say, an engineering team trying to build an agent that could do real work?
Honestly, it was pretty fragmented, a real juggling act. You'd have maybe one tool for orchestration, another for building custom API connections, something else entirely for monitoring. And on top of that, constant manual work tuning prompts, trying to get the behavior right. Plus, you often had to build your own evaluation pipelines from scratch just to make sure things didn't, break silently in production. Agent Kit's core idea is take all those separate infrastructure-heavy jobs and put them onto one unified platform.
Right, consolidation. And the big promise seems to be speed and safety. I saw that point about an engineer building a whole workflow, and two agents live on stage in, under 8 minutes? That's remarkable.
It is. That speed comes directly from the unified architecture. Under the hood, it really relies on two main technical pieces. First, there's the Responses API. This is super important because it handles structured outputs and calling external tools reliably. It makes sure the AI model gives you function arguments that are actually formatted correctly, reducing the chances of the model just making things up, hallucinating arguments, as they say.
Yeah.
That makes using real-world tools much more dependable.
Okay, so that handles the output side. And the other piece, the Agents SDK.
That's the second pillar, the Agents SDK. Think of it as the runtime environment. It's the layer where your agent's logic actually lives, executes, and manages all the steps. The visual builder and all those nice high-level features, they're built right on top of this SDK, is the foundation.
Got it. So for you, the listener, this framework basically guides you through a clear 4-step process. Design, deploy, monitor, and improve. It brings some structure to what could be a pretty chaotic development cycle.
Absolutely. Much needed structure, I'd say.
Let's walk through that process then. Starting with design, let's use an example. Say you're building a customer support agent. It needs to look up orders, maybe check inventory, escalate to a human sometimes. How does the visual builder help manage that kind of logic?
So in the design phase, you're mostly working in that visual workflow editor. You're literally drawing out the agent's thinking process. You connect different nodes. These could be API calls, prompts to the language model, if-then conditions. So for instance, if a customer asks, "Where's my order?" you drag a line from the input node to, say, an order lookup API node. It makes complex logic feel much more concrete, easier to grasp visually.
Okay, that makes sense. You map it all out visually. Then comes deploy. The thing that caught my eye here was the automatic context management. What's that about?
Yes. That's a huge time saver. Historically, getting an agent to remember what was said earlier in the conversation, managing that context across multiple messages, was a real coding challenge. The platform now handles the conversation thread and history automatically in the background. It abstracts away a lot of that complexity so the teams can just focus on the actual task logic.
Right, less plumbing work. Okay, so it's deployed. Now we need to monitor it. This sounds like more than just checking if it's up or down.
Oh, much more. Effective monitoring means you're tracking success rates, sure, but you're also looking at detailed traces in real time. You can literally see every single step, every decision the agent made for a given interaction. This is invaluable for debugging when things go wrong. And you'd set up alerts, maybe for strange patterns like a sudden jump in escalations to humans, or if a particular tool starts failing more often.
And all that data you gather during monitoring feeds right back into the next step, the improve phase, closing the loop.
Exactly. You use that real-world performance data to make smart changes. Maybe tweak a prompt here, adjust some conditional logic there. And critically, the platform emphasizes versioning. When you make a change, you don't just push it live, you create a new version, test it thoroughly against your predefined evaluation datasets to make sure you haven't accidentally broken something else or made performance worse. Only then does it go live.
You mentioned something earlier when we were prepping agent drift. Can you explain that a bit more? What causes it, and how does this versioning really help fight it?
Agent drift is. Yeah, it's a tricky one. It happens when an agent's performance slowly, subtly gets worse over time. It might be because the underlying language model gets updated and interprets prompts slightly differently, or maybe the patterns in user requests change. It's often not obvious. By having a solid evaluation dataset examples of good and bad interactions, the agent should handle correctly, and testing every new version against it, you can catch that drift. You see, hey, version 3.1 is suddenly failing on these known good examples. Versioning acts like a safety net against that quiet decline in quality.
This whole push towards more reliable, scalable agentic AI, it's really core to what we focus on here at Canerica every day. It's about moving beyond just information retrieval to automation that actually does things reliably.
That's spot on. We at Canerica provide AI strategy consulting and also the delivery services to make it happen. Our work covers everything from predictive analytics right through to implementing these complex agentic AI systems and, marketing automation too. The reason we see the value in something like Agent Kit's consolidation is because we've been building those pieces for clients. The custom connectors, the robust evaluation frameworks, the enterprise-level security wraps. We know how much effort that takes.
And we practice what we preach, right? We use our own proprietary AI agents internally. Things like Alan, which helps summarize legal documents, or Susan for redacting PII, and Mike for quantitative proofreading. They're already part of our workflows.
Absolutely. And these aren't just internal tools. The impact is real. By deploying these kinds of advanced AI solutions, particularly in areas like logistics, we've seen clients achieve average annual cost savings around $1.2 million. That comes from automating those complex multi-step workflows that humans used to do.
Okay, so connecting that design, deploy, monitor, improve cycle back to the actual tools within Agent Kit. Let's dig into those core components. Component one, the agent builder.
Right, the builder. That's the visual editor we talked about. Its main advantage is speeding up prototyping like crazy. And a key benefit is that even people who aren't deep techies, like maybe business partners, can look at the diagram and get a sense of how the agent makes decisions. Plus, it exports to code, so you get the visual speed without being totally locked into the platform if you need to customize or move later.
Good point on avoiding vendor lock-in. Okay, component two, the connector registry. Sounds like this tackles integration friction.
Yeah, hugely. Before, if you wanted your agent to talk to, say, Salesforce or Google Drive, you'd have engineers writing custom code for each one, figuring out authentication, handling errors, rate limits. It's time-consuming. The registry provides pre-built, validated connectors for lots of common services, Dropbox, SharePoint, Drive, etc. It just removes a massive chunk of that integration boilerplate work. Connects the agent's brain to the company's nervous system much faster.
Nice analogy. Component three, chat kit. If the builder is the logic, chat kit is the face.
Pretty much. It's an embeddable UI component, basically a pre-built chat interface. This saves, seriously, weeks of front-end web development time. It handles things like displaying the conversation history correctly, streaming responses as they come in, managing different chat threads. It lets the dev team focus purely on making the agent smart, not on building yet another chat window.
Makes sense. Component four gets into quality, evals, and trace grading. How is this different from the monitoring we discussed earlier?
Good question. It's a key difference. Monitoring is what you do after deployment, watching how the agent performs with real users in the wild. Evals are about quality assurance before deployment. You run the agent against a controlled set of test cases, your evaluation data set, to rigorously check its quality before it goes live. This tool also lets you do cool things like cross-model testing. You can run the exact same evaluation set against, say, GPT-4 and GPT-3.5 and compare them directly on speed, cost, and the quality of their answers for your specific task.
And within evals, there's this automated prompt optimization feature. Sounds intriguing.
It is. It uses the results from those evaluations, especially the failure cases, to suggest improvements to your prompts. It can save engineers potentially hours of that manual trial and error prompt tuning process. The system basically says, hey, based on these results, you might get better performance if you phrase the instruction like this.
Very useful. Okay, finally, component five, which is crucial for any enterprise, guardrails and safety.
Absolutely non-negotiable. Guardrails tackle the real-world risks. They include things like strong input validation to stop people trying to trick the agent with malicious prompts, prompt injection attacks, and perhaps most importantly for compliance, they offer PII masking. This feature automatically scrubs personally identifiable information names, addresses, credit card numbers, etc. from the internal logs and traces that developers use for debugging. This is massive for meeting regulations like GDPR and OPR. You can still debug effectively, but without exposing sensitive user data in your logs.
It's clear this isn't just a theoretical framework then. It's being used now in some pretty demanding industries.
Oh, yeah. Look at finance. Ramp, the spend management company, uses an internal agent built on this type of framework to automate expense and purchase requests. Think about the time saved. It frees up their finance teams from drowning in emails and manual approvals, letting them do more strategic analysis.
And in legal, you mentioned Legalon, contract review is high stakes.
Extremely high stakes. Their agent helps review contracts, flags potentially risky clauses, generates summaries. It massively cuts down review time. And crucially, they rely heavily on those guardrails features to ensure absolute client confidentiality is maintained throughout that automated process.
Then there's marketing and sales. HubSpot's example.
Right. They built an AI agent that works right inside their CRM system. They pull up summaries of customer interactions, draft personalized follow-up emails on the spot, basically acting like an assistant for the sales team, helping them move faster and personalize outreach more effectively. It's a direct force multiplier.
Okay, so for you, the listener, thinking about deploying this kind of technology, what are the key best practices that emerged from the content? The practical advice.
The advice seems pretty grounded. First, start small. Don't try to boil the ocean. Focus on automating just one tool integration or one very specific narrow workflow initially. It makes debugging way easier, lets the team learn the ropes, and limits the initial risk.
Sensible.
Second, control cost. These agents, especially using powerful models, can rack up costs if you're not careful. So monitor your tool calls, watch the token usage closely, and optimize, maybe use a cheaper, faster model like GPT 3.5 for simpler steps like classifying intent, and save the big, expensive model for the complex reasoning parts.
Smart resource allocation. And the last one.
Use evaluation continuously. We touched on this, but it's critical. Run those automated evals every single time you make a change, however small. Catching a regression, a drop in quality internally before it impacts customers is vital for building and maintaining trust, especially in an enterprise setting.
This has been a really thorough look at this agentic shift. It seems Agent Kit or frameworks like it really do lower the barrier for building these more complex automated workflows. They unify the key parts, the connections, the UI, the orchestration, and importantly, the safety aspects.
Absolutely. We're definitely seeing AI shift from just answering questions or finding information towards actually taking secure, measured actions within the business. And navigating that complexity, connecting all the systems, building custom connectors when needed, ensuring really robust security, making sure it aligns with standards like our ISO 27701 and 27001 certifications here at Canerica. That's exactly where we help clients build these solutions faster and, frankly, with more confidence.
We've covered a lot today, from the tech to the market impact. But as you, the listener, think about maybe building your own agent using these kinds of tools, here's something provocative to consider. We mentioned the ability to do rigorous cross-model testing. You can explicitly compare different AI models on your specific task, looking at their cost, their speed, and the quality of their output.
Which means you have to make some fundamental choices about what matters most.
Exactly. So as you design your agent, what's the single most critical metric you'll optimize for? Is it raw speed? Is it pinpoint accuracy? Or is it minimizing cost? How will that fundamental trade-off shape every decision your agent subsequently makes? That feels like the core strategic question for anyone deploying these systems right now.
It really is a critical reflection point for any digital transformation project involving AI agents.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive on the digital shift. We look forward to bringing you more insights soon.